are Australian.
We are Australian.
I am Australian.
Rise up, Australia.
Rise Up Australia Party is a party which is committed to keep Australia Australian. Now, in keeping with that slogan, one of the greatest things that we celebrate in our country is freedom of speech. Now, freedom of speech is a fundamental part for us in a Western democracy. Unfortunately, in many countries across the world, people do not know anything about freedom of speech because there is no freedom. I come from a country where there is no freedom of speech. I lived in a country where there was no freedom of speech. But I'm proud to say that I now live in a country called Australia, which I call home. And as an Australian, that I celebrate freedom of speech. So why is freedom of speech so important? Today we find that nations are going down a certain path of passing legislation in order to stifle freedom of speech. And you ask the question, what's happening? How does it come into be? Well, we have a UN agenda across the nations in order to conform people into a one-world thinking. Based on this, the UN agenda is to pass legislations through parliaments in order to make people talk the talk according to what they want us to talk about. So what political correctness has done today to the nation is that no longer can people have any fun or say anything, it's immediately an offense. Let's take this. Today I've been told that in kindergartens you cannot sing that beautiful song or the nursery rhyme which we all possibly sang, Baba Black Sheep. It's offensive. So we got to sing Baba Rainbow Colored Sheep. Now I myself, I'm a guy who would be called the black fellow from Sri Lanka. I am absolutely concerned about what's happening to the Western world right now. I called Australia home because I wanted to enjoy these freedoms. Rise Up Australia Party is committed to protecting freedom of speech, which is a fundamental value for a Western democracy. I myself was sued in 2002 and taken by the Islamic Council of Victoria, and I had a 5-year court battle. What was the accusations brought against me? Quotes that I have directly quoted from the holy book of Islam called the Quran, which was considered to be offensive for some Muslims who happened to be at a seminar held in a church. Firstly, they came into the seminar with the intention of suing us. Secondly, the seminar was meant for Christians, not for Muslims. Thirdly, they came to be vilified. So they took away 52 points of complaint. And at the tribunal, the Islamic Council's barrister challenged me and said, "You have offended the Muslim people." And my response to that was, if I've quoted directly from the Quran, how could I offend the Muslim people? In the courtroom, the Islamic Council's barrister accused me of vilifying the Muslims. When asked, what did I say? She repeated a few quotes, for which I responded by saying those were direct quotes from the Quran. At this point, the barrister responded, "Your Honor, truth is not a defense." I asked the question today, then what is the defense? My response to the judge was, "Your Honor, for quoting the Quran directly, if I'm standing here giving evidence, and if that's considered to be offensive," I said, "Your Honor, your duty is not to sanction me, but your duty is to ban the book which has such provocative verses in the Quran." So we went through a 5-year court case. We spent $600,000. The total bill was $2 million. Thanks to the legal firm which defended us, they did $1.4 million worth of pro bono work. This court case went on for 5 years. We had to spend $600,000 defending ourselves. Plus, there was $1.4 million worth of pro bono work done by the legal firm. All because of a statement that I made was considered to be offensive by someone else. Now hold on. What is our Westminster's law? What does the Westminster Court say? You are innocent until you are proven guilty. However, under the racial and religious vilification laws, which was established in the state of Victoria and passed in 2002, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So the onus is on the person who is being prosecuted, not on the person who is bringing the action on you, but the person who has to defend, irrespective of whether it's wrong or right. So we had to take this challenge, defend ourselves on the grounds of freedom of speech. We won the case ultimately at Supreme Court after a 5-year court battle. However, not before we were found guilty at the tribunal halfway through the court case. The tribunal did decide that we have vilified the Muslims based on the legislation placed in front of them. On appeal in Supreme Court, it was overturned, and the 3 judges said we had done nothing wrong, it was our right for freedom of speech. Now, what's happening to the Western world? Subjective offence is an offence, not objective. Rise Up Australia Party will not back down. Rise Up Australia Party will take this fight for the generations to come to protect freedom of speech, which is a fundamental value which our fathers and forefathers in this nation fought for. We want to keep Australia Australian for generations to come. Vote 1, Rise Up Australia Party, and be assured of freedom of speech for generations to come.
We are Australian.
We are Australian.
I am Australian.
This election, vote 1, Rise Up Australia Party, and keep Australia Australian for generations to come.